forward to the next 30 years. So it's quite an adventure, and one that only continues to get better all the time. The Juice Plus Company, I'll give you just a little background there. The Juice Plus Company is sneaking up on 50 years old. 48 years at this point, and nothing but, a huge track record of success. We entered the marketplace so many years ago with a product that I'm sure you're all familiar with. We were the company that actually introduced smoke detectors for the home. And that certainly laid the foundation for success as time went on. Innovative and very useful and needed products in the early 80s, diversifying, going into the field of environment with water filtration, air filtration, in-home products, and all of these things were multi-billion-dollar product lines. 25 years ago, we entered the field of health technology with Juice Plus and the Juice Plus family of products, and that's really been the find, I feel, of not only this century but last, and not only for our own health and well-being, but for the people that we love and those that we come across on a daily basis. We've also had the good fortune of meeting like this on Monday night. We've never missed a Monday night, and it's right at 28 years now. And we've been especially blessed that people come to us with their knowledge and their expertise. It may be about product or how we share this with others as far as our business or our product is concerned. It might be corporate input. Tonight we have a little of both, okay? We have someone from corporate who will share a lot of great information about exactly how our product comes to us, something that we're not exactly in the dark on because it is fruits and vegetables and berries, but she's got the details. And then, of course, one of our own national marketing directors will share with us as well. So product information, business information, but let me get started by introducing Kelly Proehl, who's a national marketing director with our organization, and she will introduce Liza Pepple, who is director of product innovation at the corporate offices. So tonight they're going to talk about, farm to capsule and farm to complete, and I know you'll enjoy it. So first, let's welcome Kelly Proehl. I'll give you a little background on her. She lives in Greensboro, North Carolina. She graduated from Wake Forest University with a degree in psychology and sociology. She and her husband, Ricky, have 3 children, Alex, 22, Austin, 20, and Blake, 17, as well as a new son-in-law, Cole. Kelly didn't grow up understanding the relationship between food and disease until she learned about Juice Plus 11 years ago. It was then that her journey, understanding the power of food and wellness, began, and she became very passionate about educating and sharing this message of hope with as many people as she can, and Kelly's done an amazing job with that. Kelly's hobbies include spending time with her family, Bible studies, exercising, serving at-risk children through their foundation, and watching her boys play football and time at the beach or anywhere that it's warm, she says. So Kelly is a national marketing director, as I said, within our organization. She's also a 50 Club member. So, Kelly, I'm going to turn it over to you, and you can then introduce Liza and get her to share with us as well.
Okay. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you so much for having us. I think I enjoy this call as much as everybody else does. So Liza is on the road again, as she usually is. So, Liza, we want to thank you just for joining us again tonight. Okay. Well, I'm going to – we love having you with us. I'm going to just roll right into introducing Liza Pebble. Liza graduated from Clemson University in 2002 with a degree in chemical engineering. She was global product manager for a Fortune 50 agribusiness company before joining the Juice Plus company in 2008. Liza quickly transitioned from quality manager for the Juice Plus product line to director of product development. And in this position, she was instrumental in the development of the Juice Plus soft chews, the berry chews, the soft chew sample packs, the complete shake mix reformulation, and early work on the complete bar. Liza has also been pivotal, and we're so grateful for this, in highlighting the story of our farmers. And in her current role today as Director of Product Innovation, she focuses on keeping Juice Plus at the cutting edge of clinically proven nutritional support. She enjoys aerobics and is an avid golfer with her husband, and her goal is to be constantly on the lookout for ingredients and processes that will improve the Juice Plus product line. So I want to just quickly, before we jump in, I'm going to actually read the plants, these just power-packed plants that are in our different blends. But I just want to very briefly share with everyone the impact that this nutrition has had on our family. We have, over the last 14 years, gone from a family of sickness to wellness with this nutrition. We were battling asthma, allergies, eczema, molluscum warts, antibiotics 3 times a year, and migraines. And because our bodies were so depleted and did not get this nutrition that they desperately needed, this has been such an easy solution for our family. And we have gone from sickness to vibrant health and no more medications, because we know through the research how effective it is in the body. So when a friend shared that this might heal our bodies on the inside, it certainly did. It has truly been the catalyst to healing from the inside out and many other lifestyle changes. So I'm eternally grateful for Juice Plus. So I'm going to start, before I ask Liza some questions, I'm just going to read, because I think it will give everybody a really good visual of what we're talking about tonight, from our fruit, vegetable, and berry blends. I'm going to read the plants that are in there. And the fruit blend: apple, peach, cranberry, orange, mango, lemon peel, acerola cherry, pineapple, prune, date, and beet. And the vegetable blend: broccoli, parsley, tomato, carrot, garlic, beet, spinach, cabbage, lemon peel, kale, and rice bran. And in the berry blend: raspberry, bilberry, blueberry, cranberry, pomegranate, Concord grape, blackcurrant, blackberry, elderberry, artichoke, and cocoa. And then in our omega blend, which is newer, is a full-spectrum plant-based omega with 3, 5, 6, 7, and 9 omegas from 6 different whole food sources: algae, pomegranate seeds, sea buckthorn berries, raspberry seeds, tomato seeds, and safflower seeds. And then the last one is our complete shake mix, which has 8 grams of fiber, ancient grains and sprouts like radish, broccoli, alfalfa sprouts, quinoa, amaranth, and millet, and also a plant-based protein blend of a water-washed non-GMO soy, chickpea powder, pea protein, rice protein. This is the perfect meal on the go. And we also have a complete bar and a tower garden, which is an aeroponic vertical garden, which is phenomenal. We won't have time tonight to touch on those 2 things, but I do want to mention them. So, Liza, if you will, just let's start tonight sharing with people about the farms and the sources of all these power-packed plants that are in Juice Plus.
Absolutely. So, one of the things that I love about working at Juice Plus is that I really get to see everything. So I like to say that, I get to see the seeds, the ground, the water, everything that goes into everything that we plant, and all through the processes. So I'm the one that gets to actually meet with our farmers and talk to them and, talk to them about how they farm and what their challenges are. And it really inspires me. They always inspire me. And one of the reasons they do is because they're always asking me, what can we do better for you? What is it that you want us to do next? And, we've been working with these farmers for, in some cases, the entire 25 years of Juice Plus's history. And they've just really gotten to know us and to know what our qualifiers, what our specifications are for our plants. So we start with fantastic seeds, all non-GMO seeds for every plant that goes into Juice Plus, for every ingredient that goes into Juice Plus. And we then put them in the ground. One of the things that people think is, well, do you get all of your produce from the same region? And no, we get our produce from where it's grown the best. So we don't try and grow pineapples in Michigan. because they wouldn't grow very well in Michigan. So we grow where things are meant to be grown, but that allows us to really get the best nutrition out of them. The soil is right for growing in those regions, and the humidity, the sunlight, all of those things that go into making wonderful, nutritious plants are appropriate. So they really pay attention. They don't put anything on the fields that's going to harm the plants or the people that work in the fields or the people that process the plants or us in the end. And they do that not just for us, but also for them. If they were spraying all kinds of pesticides on the plants, they would be the first ones that would suffer. Long before we ever would, they would be the first ones to suffer. So we try and take care of them, and they certainly do a great job of taking care of us. So it starts with great plants. It starts with being able to know what's going into your produce and to be able to have that peace of mind that that I actually physically and some of us at Juice Plus actually physically go and we are talking to these farmers every year. We are making sure that they are doing what they should be doing, and they are as excited to work with us as we are to work with them.
So Liza, I know in the past you have mentioned that the farms that we grow a lot of this produce on are the small to medium family farms, right? Is that still correct, not corporate owned?
Yes, no, that's absolutely correct. And there's a lot of myths out there about farming. And, one of the things I like to do when I talk at boot camps and at regionals sometimes is to really kind of try and tear down some of those myths because one of the biggest myths is that there's more and more, huge corporate farms around, and that's just not true. For produce, they're still mostly small to medium-sized family farmers, and that is absolutely who we work with. We work with people who own anywhere from, 20 to 200 acres. And those would be considered very small farms, and they are doing specialty things for us.
One thing I have loved that you've said before when we've talked is that the farms have grown up with us. So,
yeah.
It's just that, again, it's that long-term, loyal relationship, and it says a lot, not only about, I think, our business and our culture, but also just our company. And, you too. So I love that. I know that all of us do.
And that's very true, actually. We've grown a lot over the last 5 years. Our company has grown. Our sales have grown incredibly. And it really has been exciting to be able to watch these farmers be able to purchase land that's adjacent to their farms from people who weren't sure what they were going to do, and to turn that land that would have probably been turned into a strip mall or housing development and keep it as farmland. And that's been really exciting to me.
I love that. So we're asked quite a bit as representatives that where are the farms located? Are you able to tell us that?
Absolutely not. And not because I don't want to tell you because I'm just being mean, but I know how excited you guys get and how much you would, even if we told you not to and we told you why you couldn't, you'd still try and go and visit them. And that's great. I love the enthusiasm. But the challenge there is that you really can't, in order to control the quality, you can't have people traipsing through the farms and that aren't associated with them. So can you imagine everybody has different particulate on their shoes? If you walk outside and you walk in different regions, you don't even think about it, but you're picking up all kinds of residue on your shoes. And if everybody went through our farms, through our fields, and tracked all that different residue in there, we would have a really tough time with quality. And me personally, I have a pair of boots that I just wear on the farms, and they are stored in a plastic bag in my closet until I go to the farms. They're sanitized before I walk onto any kind of farmland, and they're sanitized and cleaned every time I walk out of a farm. So unless I can see that you're doing that, then it's really all about quality control. That's why we don't tell people where they are.
And we respect that. That just speaks to the integrity again. So a lot of people ask, how in the world are you getting all these plants into capsules and chews? So this is a loaded question, and we're going to explore some other questions tonight. So we're going to, for the sake of time, comprehensively talk about how Juice Plus is made and how do those powders end up in capsules and chews.
Yeah, so once the produce comes out of the fields, we actually wash it immediately, and then most of the produce is what we call individually quick frozen. And we do that so that we can have fresh produce throughout the year. So individually quick frozen is just that. It means that once it's washed, each individual piece is separately frozen to very quickly. It takes about less than a minute to freeze everything, to freeze these individual pieces, and then they're stored frozen until we're ready to use them. And that freezing process actually locks in the nutrition. So we're doing this within hours of them coming out of the field so that when we go to the next step, which is the juicing and drying step, that nutrient level is maintained as high as it was when they were picked, which is very important to us. So we start with mostly frozen vegetables and fruits and berries and grains, and we take them and we let them sit at room temperature until they're slightly thawed, just thawed enough that we can process them. And then we put them through a process which is called, I like to say, is juice plussing. So it's kind of like most people think of juicing, it's that, you put these fruits or whatever, you have to kind of take the skin off, and then you get the clear liquid or the kind of clearer liquid out of one side, then there's this fiber stuff you have to figure out what to do with. Well, there's a whole lot of nutrients in all of those things that you don't put into a juicer that don't come out in your juice that we really want to make sure are in the produce or in Juice Plus. So we will crush up the whole produce, everything. So seeds and leaves of broccoli. We'll do peels and seeds of citrus fruits, and because there's so much nutrient in those things. For example, one of our newest ingredients is lemon peel, and one of the reasons that we included it is because lemon peel is naturally incredibly high in folate. So we just take the lemon peel and crush it up, wash it with some water, and have a standardized folate that is completely from nature. And so those are the reasons that we put the whole fruit in there. But we put everything in, we crush it up kind of like a Vitamix blender. So we crush it up into a fine slurry, and then we dry it using our proprietary process. And that drying process is how we can fit all that great produce into our capsules, because most produce is anywhere from 80 to 90% water. So if you think about how much water you're removing from these to get them down to a dry powder, you end up with a whole lot less volume. So if you're removing all that water, then you're removing all that volume. So you can get a whole lot of produce down into a small amount of powder, and all that nutrient remains there.
Gotcha. So I love the juice plussing. That's something that I always smile when I hear about that big cold slurry. And, literally, like you said, you're juicing the whole food. So I love that. Touch a little bit on the omegas, because I know that, the new omega plant-based is so unique. And, I know many of us are familiar with quote-unquote fish oil, but explain to everyone how unique this omega blend is and the cold pressing of the seeds also.
Definitely. This is, the omega blend is kind of my, I call it like my baby. It's a product that I was involved in from the very beginning, from the original concept through the formulation phases, going to see the seed suppliers and the seed crushers to, finishing the product and putting it in that amazing, unique capsule shell. So yeah, I can talk about omegas for hours, but I'll leave leave it for just a quick comment here. But yeah, so what we really wanted to do was do better than fish oil. So fish oil is really kind of isolated, and the fish actually get the omega-3s, the DHA and EPA, from algae. So we thought, we're kind of a vegetarian company. Why would we go with fish when we can bypass the middle fish and go straight to the fish's source, which is algae, which is a wonderful plant-based source of omega-3, DHA, and EPA. So that's where it started. But of course, we didn't want to do omega-3s, just isolated omega-3s, because that's not what Juice Plus is all about. Juice Plus is about the whole food, is about the balance of all the nutrients. It's the symphony effect. So we really felt like to do an omega properly, we really needed to continue with that same thinking. So we found wonderful sources of omega-5s, omega-7s, omega-3s, 6s, and 9s that combine to make what we think is an incredibly powerful nutrient mix. And we use a crushing technology. It's just physically kind of squeezing the seeds and the sea buckthorn berries to get the oil out, and then cleaning it up just a little bit and putting it into the capsule. So it's got that deep kind of rich orange color. And actually, many of you, if you've gotten several shipments of this, you might see that the color kind of changes a little bit depending on your shipment. That's just the natural variation in the nutrients. That's just because it's so natural. So you can expect a little bit of variation in the color. You can expect a little variation in the in all of the others as well, because they're so close to nature.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I know we're hearing already great results from people that are, eating the omega capsules. So real quickly, I just want to note, because this is so worth noting, that Juice Plus is gluten-free, lactose-free. It's also kosher certified and vegetarian capsules. And Liza, I know in the past we've talked about the difference between Juice Plus and Copycat. So do you mind just real briefly just touch on that?
Absolutely. This is one of the things that, really very early on in my Juice Plus career, I had the experience of going to one of our drying partners, and they have what they call a retain closet. So this is essentially where they keep samples of all of the produce, all of the powders that they make, just to have them on hand to test them, to do, stability on them if they need to, or, whatever needs to happen over several years. And I walked into the retain closet, and I saw Juice Plus cranberry, and I saw cranberry. And I said, well, what's the difference between these two? And they said, well, this is the one that we sell to Juice Plus. It was, Juice Plus cranberry, and it was much darker than the other one. And I was like, well, wow, you could see the difference between the two. And I think there's probably quite a number of pictures around that show the difference, so you can probably find some of those somewhere. But essentially, the difference is that along with our drying partners, first of all, we source produce that's highest in nutrition, and one great way of kind of showcasing the nutrition in produce is by the color. So the darker the color, the richer the color, generally the higher nutrition. That's not always true. Obviously, cauliflower is very nutritious and it's white, but for things like cranberries or blackberries, the darker, richer the color, the more nutrients are in there. Those come from things like anthocyanins. So we actually source a strain or a kind of breed of cranberry that is higher naturally in these anthocyanins. So it's darker in color, and that's where that color change starts. But then in addition to that, we don't put anything that we don't have to in with our powders when we dry them. So we need sometimes to have a little bit of what's called an excipient. So this is just an ingredient or a powder that's added in there that helps it to not stick or helps it to dry a little better. But we don't use that much of it. Most companies or most people use quite a lot of it because of two reasons, really. One is that usually excipients are a whole lot cheaper than the produce itself. So if you use 50% excipient and 50% powder, then you can get a cheaper powder. But beyond that, it also helps it dry faster. It keeps it stable longer. So you have less you have a whole lot more time to use these ingredients. And we don't do that. So our cranberry powder is about 90% cranberry and only 10% excipient, because cranberries are really high in sugars and they dry hard. So you have to they're kind of sticky when they dry. So we need a little something in there to help it from clumping up. But the other cranberry powder, what most people buy, is only 40% cranberry and 60% excipient. So, of course, that's going to make it lighter in color. It's also going to make it not smell quite like a cranberry. It just smells like a very neutral powder. And so you can really tell the difference with competitive products. If you take their capsules, open them up, smell them. If you open up a fresh bottle of Garden and you stick your nose inside that bottle, I dare any of you to say that doesn't smell like plants. I mean, it
a lot
smells
of vegetables.
Yeah, exactly. You can tell what it smells like. Right, exactly. So if you open up a competitor's bottle, it smells like plastic because that's what the bottle is made out of.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that there's a difference in the capsule shell. The capsule shell isn't keeping their odors in the capsule. In fact, our capsule shell is actually much better at that than most. But it's that they just aren't quite as close to nature as ours. And so you can really tell the difference by looking at it, by smelling it. Ours are darker in color. Ours have a more fresh smell to them. They smell like fresh produce. So, you can really kind of tell the difference that way.
Absolutely. I 100% agree and know that. We open it up a lot and smell it and have people smell it. So, okay, so we've already mentioned that Juice Plus is non-GMO. One thing that people ask a lot is organic. So if you would just touch on that, that's a buzzword to, subject, just share about Juice Plus in the context of organic.
Absolutely. So we don't state that Juice Plus is organic because, as we mentioned earlier, a lot of times we've been working with the same growers for 25 years, and these are small to medium-sized family farms. They don't have a whole lot of extra money around to be able to either pay for the certifications themselves or to let their field sit fallow for 3 years in order to get the certification. So since we started working with them, we've really started working with them on organic farming principles. So I would say that all of our farmers use organic farming principles, and not just that, but we actually test our produce, and that is not a requirement for organic farming. Organic farming is really all about a paper trail and making sure that you have the right paper trail to show that you didn't put anything non-organic on the ground or on your produce, but it's not a guarantee of safety. In fact, many organic farms actually have a higher rate of contamination for microbiological contaminants. So these are things like Salmonella and E. coli, Listeria. And that's because, for organic farming, you use a lot of fertilizers. It's really manure and compost, which are fantastic fertilizers. I use them at home. We use them on all of our Juice Plus products. But if you don't treat them properly, they can really be a very huge source of contamination. So rather than just having a paper trail and having to move to farmers or asking the farmers that we've worked with for 25 years to stop working with us for at least 3 years so that they can get this piece of paper, we just really worked with them over the years. And to prove that our product is safe and to prove that we don't have any contaminants, we have a third-party certification, which is the Nsf Certification. And Nsf certifies our products, and they essentially look at 3 things. They look to say that to prove that there's nothing in our products that's not on our label. They verify that there's nothing on our label that isn't in our products. And the third thing, and this is the one that I find most important, is that they certify that there are no harmful contaminants in our product at all. And so for me, that knowing the farmers, seeing what they can do, seeing what they do, being able to have them show me their spray records, the records for their irrigation water, to show me what seeds they're using, and then to have third-party certification that proves that what they're doing is true, to me is even better than organic.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree. Better than organic. That's what we say too. So how do we stay at the leading edge of trends in nutrition?
So we have a great team at Juice Plus. We've actually just added a couple new team members to our product team. I'm actually traveling with them this last week and this week. I don't know, some of you are probably Facebook friends with me, and some of you may have seen our Facebook Live videos last week. We'll have a couple more this week to introduce them to us, to everyone. But we're essentially, our team is really there to keep an eye on what's going on in the industry. So we have people who are experts in flavors. We have people who are experts in farming. We have people who are experts in science. And we work with wonderful people like Dr. Manfred Lamprecht, who keep us on the cutting edge of clinical nutrition. So our team, whether it's the quality team of Carlos and Mary, Sue, Anna, our regulatory team, which includes Inga and Clara and Nastasia, the product team that I work with, which is Arzina and John and Hitesh, we all kind of work together and the supply chain team actually with Tony and Jeff, we all work together to see what's out there, to figure out the best ways that we can approach the nutrients, to clinically test everything that we do before we do it, and then to bring great new ideas to the table. So when we do changes, one of the first things that we do is we sit around, we have conversations. Is this possible? Is it possible from a cost standpoint? Because, we'd love to do a lot of wonderful things, but if it costs, $10 more per consumer, is it really worth it? Is it something that's sustainable? But also, and that's not usually a driver for us, by the way. Cost is not usually a driver, but it is a factor. We want as many people as possible to be able to afford to take Juice Plus. So, and then we work with Dr. Lamprecht, and we have these hypotheses, and so we take our hypotheses to him and say, okay, here's what we think we really want to do, and here's the ingredients that we want to replace, or here's the ingredients that we want to add, and he says, okay, let me take a look at this. And so he looks at the ingredients and the specifications, and he looks at the research, and he looks, oftentimes we actually do clinical tests on our actual new formulas before we bring them to anybody, so that we can see, we have 38 published papers on Juice Plus. We don't ever want to have anything that we do to the product negatively impact those. So our first goal is always to make sure that any change that we make only improves the clinical potential of our products and doesn't take away from anything that we've ever done in the past. And so with the quality and the regulatory and the clinical research team and the supply chain team and our product and formulation teams, we really are able to kind of take a look at all kinds of new things and figure out what the best next steps for Juice Plus are. And that's when we've been able to really find great new capsule shells. So finding our vegan capsule shell was part of this effort. The new, as I mentioned earlier, lemon peel ingredient to replace the folic acid is one of those great things. Finding mango to replace papaya when we found out that we were not going to be able to source non-GMO papaya any longer. These are the types of things that our team is really excited about. Not just the wonderful, great new things like omega blends, but really, taking the existing products and keeping them at the cutting edge and keeping them on keeping us at the pinnacle of whole food nutrition is really our goal.
Oh, we're just so grateful for y'all. We really are. I mean, the impact that this has had on, our health and so many people's lives, it's just incredible. So we just really are grateful to all of y'all for what you do to protect us and feed us well. And so our last question is any future changes that might be coming to stay at that leading edge of nutrition?
Yeah, so recently, this being the 25th anniversary of Juice Plus, we really thought it was a great opportunity to highlight and really kind of refresh our capsule. So earlier this year, we've made changes to the capsule shell, as I mentioned, kind of late last year, early this year. We went wholly vegan, so our capsule shells now are 100% vegan, plant-based capsule shells that are fantastic. And as I mentioned as well, we had to replace papaya because we were not able to source it by a non-GMO source any longer. So this is something that if you've heard this call before, you know that I've been talking about for at least 5 years. And it finally came to the point where, we'd absolutely kind of struck out with all of our sources. And for those of you who don't know, papaya trees were affected by something called the ring spot virus. And this is something that would kill the trees, kill entire groves of trees if they didn't genetically modify the tree to be resistant to it. So this one was really one of those where it was genetically modify the plant or completely lose the plant as an agricultural source. So again, right or wrong, however you fall on this category, it doesn't really matter. We've always said, and we will always say, we will not use a genetically modified ingredient in our product. So we found mango as a great replacement for that. Nutrient-wise, it's very similar. And, just coincidentally, it looks kind of similar on the package, too. So the picture doesn't look much different. But we also took the opportunity to do some things to the product that people had been asking about. There's a lot of people who are gluten-free who questioned us about the oat bran that was in the product. And we always sourced a certified gluten-free oat bran. So we were very confident that it was absolutely gluten-free. However, there is a component of oat that is similar to gluten. It's not gluten, but it is similar. So there's a smaller percentage of the population that is affected by that as well. And so we took the opportunity to remove the oat so that we could be not just gluten-free, but completely gluten-free, no traces of anything, no components that look like gluten, nothing in our products now. And we just replaced that with some more rice bran. And then another one that we've been hearing quite a lot about lately is the folic acid and the MTHFR gene. And whether no matter, again, this is one of those that no matter where you stand on this, no matter what your position is, there was enough of a challenge where we were able to find a completely natural source of folate from lemon peel that just works better for us anyway. So why wouldn't we replace the folic acid that was in the product with lemon peel, which is naturally high in folate? So those are the most recent changes, and we've got a couple more really exciting changes that are coming up towards the end of the year and into early next year. That these are things that will make a huge impact, we think, on people's lives as well. So stay tuned for those. I can't really tell you what they are yet, but come to Tampa and you may find out.
Yes, well, it's always good because y'all are always looking out for us. So, well, we just want to thank you from the entire Juice Plus family, Liza, again, for all you do. You really do help us to be more passionate about our mission to inspire healthy living. So thank you for joining us tonight as you travel, like usual.
Always my pleasure. Always my pleasure. This is one of my favorite calls of the year. So thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, Liza. Okay, Cheryl, I'll hand it back to you.
Okay, and thank you both so much. Liza, I always loved this story. I have not missed the Juice Plus product as far as consuming it myself one day in the 25 years that we've had it, and I feel like it's certainly given me my edge, that of myself and my family. Just like Kelly, just so fortunate that this has been part of our nutritional foundation for our lives. But I love it when you tell the story. I love about hearing all of the manner in which it comes together and the amazing product that we know it is. So thank you both so much for your input tonight. We appreciate it. It only validates even further, what we are, who we are, and what we have to offer. So to everyone on the line, so happy that you could be with us this evening. And thank you again to Kelly Proehl and to Liza Pebble. Thank you. Good night, folks.
Thank you. Good night.